Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome, everybody. Hello, I'm so grateful to be with you. Meredith is here with me. Hi, Meredith.
Everybody.
Hello. All right. Meredith Canaan is going to be sharing incredible things with us to help you. I mean, the magic of her energy alone is going to ignite you into joy and fulfillment of what it is that wants to be launching through you. And she's definitely going to have incredible things to share to help you to orient yourself to that. And I'm sure some practical, tools and tips or what have you as well, and so much more. So I'm looking forward to diving in with her and her expertise and her awesome sauce in just one moment. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. All right, Meredith. So we're about to blast off here. I'm always so grateful to be with you. We always have such a great time together.
Woohoo! I have to say, you keep saying blasting off, and I keep thinking about this song from a TV show from, oh my goodness, it has to be like the 70s or the 80s. It's like 3, 2, 1, contact is the feeling. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I haven't heard or thought of that TV show in forever, but anybody else who's listening may or may not remember that.
I don't, but you're always fun with because you're got that background, right? Probably not the first song we'll hear from Meredith. Might get another one even today for perhaps, and it's always fun. It's always very cool. So we're definitely looking forward to get in, educate. What do they call that? Edutainment or whatever, right?
Edutainment, yes. I think there's like infotainment, edutainment. There's all kinds of fabulous words for what we do.
It's going to be a good time. Let me tell you about Meredith. Meredith is a heart-centered business coach who lets her true colors shine while bursting, blasting off into song. All right, we were just talking about that. As a serial entrepreneur, she has started many creative and visionary businesses that have helped thousands of others to do the same. She helps her clients create community in aligned ways so they step into the role as the leader in their company. Focused on community and collaborations, they leverage their impact and scale their income through her signature program, Love Then Lead. She also has a passion for summits. She hosts the Heart-Centered Leaders Summit, which I've been honored to be on, and I'm going to be on it again, I guess. We're going to talk about that later, right? So, and hosted the Ultimate Mom Summit for years. She's dyslexic and ADHD. I love that because I know I got a little dyslexia in me for sure. I love to help creative entrepreneurs who think a little bit differently. The love of her family keeps her moving, and the love of coffee fuels the drive. All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God, I love it. So that is so amazing. I know I probably saw that in your bio before about the mom summits, but like I really, I don't even know that side of you. So tell me about how you got started. Was it with all this stuff? Like, tell us about yourself and how you got started with helping people that are heart-centered leaders. They got big visions. I've worked, again, we've talked about this before. I've worked with your clients and whatnot, and your community is again, they're fun and joyful and creative, and some of them are very quiet and whatnot too, but they're very creative, very brilliant people. I just wonder what inspired you to go down this path.
Well, when I first started my coaching business, I was in entertainment. I used to be in the entertainment business as an actress and a producer, and I was struggling with life, feeling kind of like a pig pen from Charlie Brown, kind of covered in like a dark cloud, knowing that I felt like my light just needed to shine out and be bright. And a friend of mine introduced me to some personal development programs. And through those, I executive produced my first feature film. I bought real estate. I did all kinds of things. And I found out at that point that I was an amazing coach. Didn't know it was a skill I had, didn't know it was a profession. This was back in the early aughts. And then I took on coaching, but I had no idea how to market myself and no idea how to get this general life coaching business off the ground. And I got all my certifications and everything done right before my baby girl was born. And I was really struggling. And the personal development work that I did, a lot of it was around creating teams and managing teams and teamwork to create amazing outcomes. And I was on with my best friend who was a mom, and she's like, well, make a game out of it, create some team around this whole mom thing. So that was when my summit, I decided to run my first ever summit, and it was called the Mommy's Game. And it was a gamification for stay-at-home moms who were struggling, feeling disconnected. The theme of disconnection will show up quite a bit, but feeling disconnected and not feeling acknowledged for all the things that you have to do. So I created a game where you got points for doing the dishes and points for organizing a part of your house every week, points for date night, points for self-care, and all those things that moms struggle with. And it ends up, my daughter was a high needs kid. And as I started to move along, I had also done a lot of relationship work. I find I'm a bit of a relationship kind of, it's my sweet spot for sure. And so I started offering more things and programs and services for moms who are struggling. Like when I created the Mommy's Game, I forgot about date night because it was an area that I was great at, but the other mom stuff were the things I'm like brilliant in business, disaster domestically, right? Like, I think that might be my new tagline. And that could have something to do with the ADHD for sure. But anyway, so I did the Mommy's Game. I turned it into a summit and brought on experts, and I did it over 9 weeks, and we played this gamification, and it was a lot of fun. And then I learned how to actually do summits in a more organized manner, because I didn't really convert and make a lot of money on the first one, I'll be honest. So then I started doing the Ultimate Mom Summit, and it was to help bring moms together and all of the experts on the things that I didn't know: sleep experts, organizational experts, parenting experts, sibling rivalry, all of those things. And so I brought together 20 amazing experts in the industry. And then people loved it so much, I did it again the next year. And I just found that I love to do summits. And I find that the thing I love the most about them is collaborating with brilliant people that you get to then play with over and over again, just like yourself, Daniel.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I've done, I've hosted a number of summits myself in the past, and had incredible results and not great results as well. I've had those kind of experiences. So, boy, they could be a lot of fun, and they could be a lot of work, right? So it's all good. I think, these days I've preferred the podcasting format one at a time. I bring them all together, right? So there's the reason why I kind of emphasize that right now too, I think, is because, there's that inspiration of the, for me, like, what does heart-centered mean? Like, getting down to even defining what that means. Like, for me, heart-centered, I guess there's no one definition, but for me, heart-centered would be like, when I'm in my heart of love, right? You say love, then lead, right? So when I'm in a heart of love and connection with source and spirit, or whatever you want to call it, the feeling of, what do I really want to do right now? What would bring me the greatest joy and love and delight to do right now? Whether it's podcasts, or if I was inspired again to do a summit, or whatever it is. Like today I got the inspiration. I'm like, I want to have a big online group or something like that. Like, it's all raw right now, but it's like, I want to fill it in. Tony Robbins is doing big online events. What about me? Wait till I come out, fun,
I like
right?
that. That's a whole different voice coming through for you as well.
That might not sound heart-centered, but it's really coming from the heart center ultimately. Like, it's sort of generating from like, yeah, let's come out. The inspiration comes from the heart center of like, oh my God, yeah, it's feeling good, because I've done those sorts of things before, but it's like, now I'm being inspired to do it where maybe it's bigger, and then I'm more in the spotlight, right? Rather than, it's all about all these other people, so whatever the inspiration is right now is all good. I've been doing all different kind of things over the years. So, but like coming more from that inspiration in business, is that what you mean by heart-centered entrepreneur? I think it's fascinating just to even look at that, right?
Yeah, I think part of it is, yes, it's absolutely about coming from your heart. And it's about coming from the essences of who you are.
Mhm.
So that it's starting with, the person that you are meant to be, the person you know yourself to be, as you stand fully in that and holding the picture of your dreams in a reality that keeps them ongoing there so that you're making a difference in the world. And when I think of heart-centered, I tend to think of people who are really driven from service, driven from a purpose of making the world a better place. And I find that most of us who associate in the world of heart-centered really have that need to serve as a big part of our business. And that it's not just about serving the people. Oftentimes it's about serving spirit, serving the planet, serving in this higher way. I also find that a lot of the heart-centered approaches to business are much more softer approaches, not so pushing, not so much of the like you were saying, like letting it have flow, letting it have energy, letting it be led from the enjoyment, the pleasure, and the heart. And I think when you have them integrated, that pleasure, that enjoyment, and that drive to make a difference in the world, I believe that women and underserved communities, minorities, like all of the diversity that we have, the more we underserved communities, the more we step more fully into power and come from a place of that loving, compassionate, accepting place, the more the world will shift to where we want it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, that's where it's at. We've got to come from the heart space. I mean, the countless times that I channel, ascended masters and everything, when it's all about the awakened heart. Like all this I did, like I remember I was really doing like a lot of extensive channeling back in the aughts you call it, but back in the 2000s, is that what that means? See, I'm not hip to terms. I got to get up to the times. But anyway, back in the 2000s, I was channeling. They always have said it's all about being in the heart space. It's all about being in the heart. It's what you need to do is be in the heart, like that. Like it was a repeated message again and again. That was what was so primary about us moving forward. I mean, is together. I mean, like that was kind of the whole thing. I mean, they'd always talked about that. So that is what is desired and needed. That is where the fulfillment is, no doubt about it. And so everything you're saying is totally resonating, Meredith. And that's so true. I mean, that's where we're connecting, because that's where we feel one with source, with each other and everything. And we get out of all the concepts and the drivers. Some people do businesses based on, well, how much money can I make? And let's just make that happen. It's very practical. It's very no nonsense. It could be okay, but it doesn't maybe bring the joy and upliftment that people are looking for, or maybe it's not contributing to the world in that specific kind of way, where it's connecting people more with the heart that we've come from, and bringing deeper impact in that way, perhaps. So
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, it really is where people say, do something that you love and the money will follow. And right, and I think there's an and to that, right? Part of it is being in that full alignment of who you are, being in that space of connected. So it is the joy, it is you being, it's what I call your 7 essences to let your true color shine. When you understand those, like you said, universe, God-given, whatever the term is that you use, when you understand what those gifts are that you were given, those natural ways of being of who you are, and you fully express that, and you have it synced up with a business that serves in a way that's meaningful for you, and let's be honest, that you really enjoy, that's when abundance flows. That's when the universe starts giving you the gifts. And I believe the more we serve, the more we deserve, the more we make that big impact on the world, right? It's why Oprah is a kabajillionaire. Okay, I know that's not really a word, but right, she has that global impact where when you're in her space, watching, doing any of those things, that it really has you understand that you get to be a better version of yourself. And that impact, she gets paid. That's why she's so wealthy. because she makes that profound difference where people get to see who they are in a better place. And so I like to say that that is a part of what I'm doing in helping people have their businesses find that alignment between their 7 essences, who they're meant to be, and the service that they were meant to put on the earth to make the difference.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about that. So this is something that you have talked to some of my audience with before, like the 7 essences. It's so cool. So tell our audience and remind me, because I don't remember everything by a long shot. What are those 7 essences? What is that?
Well, so I believe that we all have 7 core ways of being. And the reason I call it an essence is that it's not just one essence. For example, I'm really playful and I'm goofy, right? Some days it comes off as playful, some days it comes off as spontaneous, some days it comes off in who knows how way, but that's an essence. Let's say that's the red in my rainbow. And just like a rainbow is a spectrum of colors, every color, every essence is a spectrum of ways of being. Some of us do it by being really grounded and quiet and zen. Some of us do it by bouncing and being very Tiggerish. I'm very Tiggerish, right? Entertaining might be an essence. It might be feeding off the crowd, those types of things. I have a background in improv, and I would say that energy to be with people in that type of like large space, that's an essence, whatever we want to call it, whether it's the entertaining essence or the connecting essence, witty or funny or whatever it is that has people connect, right? Those are some of my essences. I believe that we all have 7 core ways of being. And again, it's just an essence, a color, a flavor, right? And so, for example, it might be that you have, like, I think they used to say, I want to say it's Ingrid Bergman or somebody like, no, is that right? No, Audrey Hepburn. I think, no, Catherine. It was Catherine Hepburn. I got to get my Hepburns right. Anyway, that like when she was young, people would say that she was rambunctious. But when she was older, they're like, yeah, she's crotchety. But there was some energy that was similar in the way that she held her space and that she held her boundary and that she was fighting for her rights. But when she was older, they're like, well, she's older, but she's still fighting for her stuff. And so it's that essence that you were as a baby and that you will be as a grandparent, as a senior, that it will always be there. How people describe you and how they experience you might be a different word for that essence over time. But that when we, and I think what happens with a lot of people is that as kids, right, we're unfiltered, we're untamed, we're out there, wholeheartedly being ourselves and not learning anything else. And then something happens and we take a way of being that we were just like, yeah, I'm great, right? Like you tell your story often about, right, talking about the fact that you have power and that you could do all these things, but society says, I don't think so. And you're like, oh, okay, I must shove this thing I have in a box somewhere because it's not accepted or okay. And so at some point, often we take some of those 7 essences of who we are and we shove them in a box. Or maybe you shove it in a box with certain people, like maybe with your friends, you're full out and playful and goofy and silly and out worshiping the moon and telling her how beautiful she is. But you wouldn't do that with your parents, or you wouldn't do that at work and mention that you're a moon worshiping lady, right? So it's that type of stuff. And when we as entrepreneurs create our businesses, the more we have incorporated all of our essences together, coming from the heart, coming from that place of service, that's the end all be all. That's what we're looking for. And that's where abundance starts to flow. That's where we really get into unleashing those true colors, because people then connect to our authenticity. It's our authenticity when we stand fully in who we are that people are attracted to. Confidence and authenticity are the number one things that people are attracted to in other people.
Exactly. I mean, for me, like one of my things has been, I can come across like strong, I can come across mild and meek and soft. And I know that all of that is me, but what I find is that if I don't if I don't bring enough of my firepower, then that's where I tend to start suffering, or I start suppressing my gifts, like you talked about. That still happens to this day to some degree at times, for sure, no doubt about it. I'm not full blast all the time. So when I start suppressing those things at times, because I've been told, oh, that's not right, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I've even gotten that while I've been doing this stuff. Like, you get those messages, whoa, wait a minute, that's not appropriate or whatever. And, eventually, like, we start, what happens is we start trying to please other people or go conform to those ideas. Like, oh, maybe they're right, I better not. And so, yeah, I mean, I always say, like, the more we can be ourselves fully is where everything works, right? Well, that's the thing we have. And then we'll start doing the things that are our things to do. We'll do more of those things. And that's where people have success. They have heart-centered entrepreneurs, have a love affair with what they're doing. I mean, they would do it no matter what, right? They would do it night and day with no pay. I mean, they wanted to make money, of course, but the people that really make the most money and are most satisfied, they have a love affair with what they do. They just so love what they do. That's something I've noticed. And but yeah, we have to embrace those essences, no doubt about it. And so, can you help people identify what those might be for themselves? Does one go through that process?
Right. Yeah. So part of it is, right, so we're talking about suppressing, is looking at, there's definitely ways to do it. And I would like some great ways to get started to really discover what your essences are. The first thing is just kind of make a list of the ways that you would describe yourself or adjectives that other people might use to describe you. That's a good one. I had a client go, yeah, well, somebody called me the B word. I'm not going to curse on your platform. I don't know if you curse on your platform, so I'll just keep it clean for today. Right. But somebody called me the B word. And I was like, well, you could look at that word and go, what are the other energies that means? And is there another way to say that? Right. So that would be, it could be an essence of, right, powerful. It could be an essence of like a firm stand for, having firm boundaries and standing for what you believe in and taking no BS and, right, like straightforward. It could be like, that could be the essence, is that I'm straightforward, non-filtered, no BS, and I speak what it right. So there's different ways to say things. So one is to look at, especially who you were as a child. What were words that people said about you? What were ways that they described you? What are the things that you loved about yourself? And then you can look at what you have started suppressing. Right? Are there those parts of you that you have taken and hidden in a box? And oftentimes things happen in our lives where we start saying something or singing or doing something, and somebody says something, we make it mean that I'm not right, or I'm not worth it, or I'm not good enough, right? We all have these kind of typical core wounds. Well, something happened while you were expressing one of your essences and your core wound popped up. Right? So you stopped expressing it, right? So that's another way to look at it, to see what you are suppressing and who you're suppressing with. You might find that you have one best friend and you're always this way with them. Like, you feel so connected with them. You feel your energy rise. When you look at that feeling where your shoulders get back and you start to feel more confident in who you are, I'll give you a hint. Those are probably some of your essences. And so you can look at you might have friends that hold space for different essences. You might be talking to Natasha over here, and when you're on with Natasha, this essence shows up. But when you're over here with Sally, this essence shows up, and Carrie brings out this in me, right? So you could start looking at the relationships that you have with certain people and figure out what energy is like. Looking at that energy bucket, what is it that person is having you bring out in yourself, and who you guys are together, the energy together. Because in essence is basically who you get to be with different people. And when you're with people who wholeheartedly love you and accept you for who you are, right, you get to be those essences freely. Right. And so you're being them together, often in relationship. right? So
The way you described it before is you can identify it down to like qualities, like words is the way I took it. Like I'm playful, I'm loving, I'm
yeah.
compassionate, I'm truthful, or whatever. All the
Mhm.
those are would be like examples of essences.
Yes.
Is that
But
correct?
yes, and all of these essences are what I would say are your authentic ways of being.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're in somewhere and you're trying to be something and it feels off, probably not one of yours.
Right.
Right? There's something that you says, well, this way of being is not good enough, so I have to be this way.
Mm.
Right? And so that could be another way to look at it to help you understand it. Because I believe, right? So you mentioned earlier that I have the ADHD and dyslexia. Well, I'm really quite brilliant and highly gifted, but because of the dyslexia and the ADHD as a kid, I have a story of being stupid, right? Especially because I didn't get great grades compared to my sister, who is a MD, PhD at the Mayo Clinic,
Mm.
right? I'm the dumb actress. I'm
Mm.
the blonde dumb actress, right? But the reality is I'm highly gifted and I have a lot of skills with people and behavior and all of these things. And so something happened where my type of smarts or the reading out loud and stumbling through the words, whatever it is, made me feel stupid. And
Mm.
so I don't read or I don't write or I don't do these things that are gifts that I was given.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so part of it is that if you find that there's a way that you express yourself and you stopped, right?
Right.
Look at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I'm thinking of myself, of course, I'm reflecting on this for myself. It's fun. So, and maybe this will help others. Is there you have it? Because is it okay if you coach me for 5 minutes
Sure.
or so?
That's a smartly.
Okay. All right. So here's the situation. Like when I was a kid, because I thought you were kind of alluding to me maybe, but when I was a kid, I was shy. I was not, very talkative. I stayed more to myself and all that sort of thing. And then, as I was growing up, like, so I would have been described as like, boy, he's just so loving, or, like he's so kind, or things like that. He's just really seems to, like I remember like one of my great like achievements as a kid for me was like in my baseball league I won like best sportsman or something. Like I mean, like, and I barely talk to people, but like they just must have said that kid's a good kid. He's a good sportsman. So anyway, so I was not someone that's like, I'll tell you the way it is. I'll kick ass and take names. Like I don't know. I guess there are kids sort of like that, but I definitely wasn't that way naturally.
Yes,
But
I have one of them at home.
and then
She's very strong.
yeah, I was always quiet, even in high school, very, very quiet, very quiet. So, I'm kind of questioning that idea, like from childhood, because I kind of wonder about it, because also something that confirms like the idea that maybe that's my more true nature is that in my human design chart, for example, most of my viewers know what that is. If you don't, look it up, get into it. It's very fascinating.
Cool
But
stuff.
in my chart, it shows me to be someone who is not a motivational person, isn't a like, hey, let's get going, or anything. It's like chill, let's breathe,
Mm.
let's relax, come on, calm down, but like I found that it's so powerful for people when I raise, and it powerful for me at times. It's just certain moments where I raise up in my energy and I'm very um stronger, steely, fiery, or whatever. And it's not all the time. And I know that can be true. Like we hear about actresses and actors, right? They're really shy, but you couldn't even find them when they're kids, right? And they're like they're very like boisterous when they're on stage, right? So I kind of wondered about that, because you're right. There's different situations and environments where we show up in different ways. I could be the one kind of taking over the show if you give me the opportunity on stage, right? I mean, I could be that person, but you put me in certain social situations, I might be the least talkative perhaps person in the room unless I corner somebody, right? Like they use typical introvert and I get to talking. So I'm wondering about that. Like, how does that relate to my true essences? Is what's coming up for me.
Well, so part of it is looking at what's the energy that's needed to feed certain situations, right? So that could be one way to look at it. When I think of you, I think of the sensitive, the space that you hold for people, right? So you might be right, that channel, that energy, that intuitive, right? That's definitely a big part of your essence. Somebody might have called you sensitive. It might have also come across as that nurturing and caring.
Right.
Right. So those could be in that color of that spectrum, but it's from that source of caring that you might like lean in and be strong because you care so much that you're like, I love you. And if I don't tell you this thing in a way that you're going to hear it, I need to do this now, right? Like I have to get strong and find that power within me because it's
you better have to listen to me now. Let's go.
Right? Like sometimes we have to do that. We're like, I love you. And if you don't get off your blipping butt and start doing X, Y, and Z and seeing how amazing you are, right? The world won't get it, right? Like sometimes we have to do that, but it's how. Yeah. And it's the source of what is that, right? What's the fuel under your fire? Right. Nice. And looking at the energy of the fuel that is feeding when you get into, right? That's transmutation. You're taking that love, that nurturing care, and you're transmuting that, I don't know what kind of energy, like that type of energy into a fire or a steel or a something to get them the result that they need. But it starts from that sensitive, caring, and nurturing.
Right.
Right. That's the source and the fuel. So your essences are your different types of fuel that have you move in your best ways from the authentic space, right? I had a client who really was, I don't know that she was necessarily introverted, but she was very introspective. She gave herself the space to spend a month in a hammock to really figure out how to organize her thoughts to express what she wanted to express in her business. And then she had her course lined out. Right. Then she had where her talents lied, but she had to give herself space. She had to give herself that introversion, that introspection time to really get that. Right. I'm a fly by my gut and my heart. And because of the ADHD, I love spontaneity. Right. I love creating new things. So I just have to take my business and go, okay, how do I be creative in refining what I've created instead of throwing everything out and starting again and not getting progress, right? So understanding that I like to be creative, I need multiple forms of information, things like that, right? So that's part of my fuel, right? The knowledge seeker, the nerd, I call it my nerdy geeky self, right? That nerdy geeky self, like, I have a book in my head. I'm an auditory processor. I have a book in my head almost all the time. Business books, self-help books, and then some fantasy with magic, of course.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it just goes on and on. Well, I'm definitely with you there, sister. I mean, if I allow myself to go there, a lot of times I don't bother with it anymore because I get more practical with things. Now I don't think about all those things all the time. I used to when I was first in business. I had endless idea and a new idea every second. It seemed, oh, we could do this, we could do that one. Get in a candy store, right? So it's endless things we could do. So I totally relate to that though. And so to be able to utilize the powers we have in terms of being the essence of who we are is the power that allows us to attract and convert more clients. Like when we're going into to be able to launch effectively and during your launch, right? Like if you like, I'm launching right now. So for me to see more results in part on an energetic foundation and have more fun with it and let it be as amazing as it could be on every level. Like I need to embody more of these essences is what I'm basically hearing. Is that true?
Yes. And when you look at it, for the most part, your overall community probably has 3 or 4 essences in common with you. right?
Mhm.
They might not have all 7, but there's probably 1, 2, or 3 essences that you all have in common. I have
Mm.
a lot of extroverted entertainers, right? Singers, puppeteers, artists, people that are out there in the stage that have that, right, that connection with audience, like big group, like a one-to-many space where they can feed off the audience and do all of this stuff, right? My improv, all of those things. I have a lot of those types of creatives in my community, right? So that's probably that essence. And it might be the playfulness, or it might be the spontaneity, it might be the adventure, right? Like that type of energy that we all share in common.
Mhm.
Or I might have somebody who, right, the neurodiversity is a connection point for me. The ADHD, dyslexia, all of those things. I have people with different types of disabilities in my community. And so that's a connection point, whether that's may or may not be an essence, but it's definitely a connection point. And so when I start looking at creating a community of engaged people, looking at those things that are valued so that we all have a same thing to create the safety, right? One of my biggest things is about helping people express all of their essences. So in building community, we have to create that essence expression is always acceptable, right? We don't apologize for feelings. We don't apologize for cursing. We don't apologize for any of those things. Full self-expression is 100% accepted. And because of that, we make it a safe space so that we can all connect. That's a connection point. So, and because we're exploring these essences and whatever they look like, the community engages on this topic. So A, it's something that I help people get to. B, it's something that we value. And inside community building, having a culture where who we are naturally expressed is valued, it's safe, it helps us understand that we belong. We belong, we belong, we belong together, right? Like that's what we're creating inside our communities, right? I get points for singing, and when people sing back to me, I get points, right? I play a game for when I get goosebumps and spirit connects, right? And so when spirit connects and I go, I got goosies, I got, right? It's an accepted, understandable thing because we have that in common. So that's what the things that we want as community builders is, what are the essences that our people have in common? What are the things that we value, right? We value expression, we value spiritual connection, we value being of service, right? Those are the 3 core things that my community is about. And so now other people can say, oh, you'll love this community. It's about this, this, and this, right? When I bring you into my community, right, you align with spiritual connection. You align, I mean, heck, you're a spiritual channel, right? So it's that, right? So you automatically come into my space and my community and our world, and you belong because we have this. So when I look at collaborators and I look at other people that I want to share with my community, I share people with common essences of mine. I share people with common beliefs and values of mine. And that's how we start coming together. And the mission, right? So often we're about creating a world where love wins, where the power of compassion and love is what shifts and changes in the world. No hate, no shame, no blame, no any of that. Like that's just not acceptable in my world, right? And so those boundaries are created in a way to keep that sense of safety and engagement inside community.
Right.
So that's kind of some of where that power works. And that's how you start to build and cultivate those relationships with people who are going to be your clients.
Right. Yeah. So that's really helpful. I mean, it's really helpful to think about like, what are those connection points? You know, for me, like I was reflecting, like so many of my clients, even though I don't have like a membership sort of thing currently, I've done these things, but right now it's when I look at those, it's people are they're spiritual, they're deep, they're shared essences perhaps are some of those things, but like if the connections points are nobody understands me, you know, I don't feel supported anywhere else. It just seems like the only place I can get the kind of support I need is a community like yours, Daniel. It's the only place. Like
Right.
even if it weren't true, like it's their perception. Like it's the only place I could get this sort of support. So yeah, it's very, very helpful is to look at, for those that are established, we always look at, right? Like look at the people already with you. What are those top connection points that are already there, right? And then we can look at if you don't have clients, like, well, who are the people that you're connecting with and helping all the time, probably for free.
Yes. Right. And looking at the ones, there's that difference in terms of, right, the people that you're helping for free, where afterwards you feel like your shoulders come back and you're really confident and you feel great serving them, versus the ones that you might be helping for free and afterwards you're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, I can't, and I don't want to do this anymore, right? You can see, and then you can look and go, this person over here, these are the essences where we connect, these are the things that we value together, and this is where the disconnect is. Right. It's where that power can help give you that clarity to continue to work with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really powerful stuff. And the more you really lean into it, the more people start to feel like that sense of feeling honored and belonging inside a community, right? I go to Daniel's space and everywhere else I don't belong, but when I'm in his place, I know I feel like I belong, right? Where everybody knows your name, right? It's that sense where you really feel like, oh my goodness, I get to be me here. And so the more that me is fully expressed and witnessed, right? The other thing about it is the more people have the opportunity to be fully expressed in community and witnessed as their whole best self, the more it reinforces that transformation, reinforces them being that fully amazing self that they are. And so it's where those transformations start to take on. We start to build more confidence. We have a place where we get to be us. And then the boundary of our safety container can expand to be more and more out in the world. And then at some point, you're confident enough that you don't give a flying flip what other people think of you. I love Sir Anthony Hopkins' quote, it's none of my business what you think of me, right? And at that point, you're standing in your confidence, speaking your truth, and making the difference in the impact that you want to make in the world. That's the power of an amazing, engaged community designed so that people get to be their full expression. And you want to create a community where your 7 essences are fully accepted and expressed so that you shine in your own community, so that it builds your confidence when you're playing with those people, when you're being with them and serving them. Right.
Exactly. I always tell people, remember, when you're being you, yes, there always will be people out there that are like, you're crazy, or you're you're wrong, or you're whatever, you're too much, or you're too little, or you're whatever, whatever it is.
Right.
Like I remember, like for example, I was with my community. We had a live event, and you would appreciate this, Meredith. You would this one. We were at it was a training. It was probably like more of a train. I think it was a training I was doing at the time. So anyway, we had come together and we were out, and one of the shared essences is fun and play, all that sort of thing. So we were together and we're like, hey, you were in a parking lot. We're like, hey, let's start skipping. We were like in a parking lot, walking around, just doing stuff and just following the flow of wherever we wanted to do. Like, hey, let's skip. We were like, I don't know if we were holding hands or whatever. We're skipping, right? And then like there's someone on a break just outside their door. They're looking at us like, what's going on? Like, what's your problem? Are you intoxicated?
I love that, right? And as you start talking about skipping, I start thinking about doing Dorothy walks, and like we're off to see the big hoppy skipping and the big hoppy skipping, right? Again, that's the musical theater background. And again, I find that even the mentors that I lean towards, just recently I was listening to one of my mentors and she started talking about the fact that she used to be in chorus. And then I heard another mentor of mine saying they used to be a dancer. And I was like, Now I understand, right? It's even those subtle connection points, and you go, oh, this is the energy, this is why we connect. They had that place, right, of being out there, being on a stage, being on a something, and I go, okay. And I'm not for everybody. Not everybody wants a mentor who busts out in song every 5 minutes, but
Man,
my folks love me for that.
and I've said this to so many people, like, and especially my clients, I share this with them when we get really working on this sort of thing. But like, really, those connection points are the most magnetic selling points. Like, man, you feel that energy, how we're connected, and how, like for me, it goes really deep. Like, oh man, it looks like you've got like this connection with Jesus. And, of course I do too. And like, before you know, you like remember like, oh yeah, we're one with all that. We were probably there together. And, like you can just feel it, your soul tribe, you're meant to be together. So when you're able to presence those things, it's so powerful, whatever those different things are for each of you. But when you could find those things down to almost what they consider maybe their identity. Like I identify with this. This is who I am. It's basically how I see who I am. Like when you connect in those intersections, and the deeper they are, the more natural sales just happen, no matter what you're selling. Oh my God, I just want to do business with you. Let's just do this thing. It feels so good. Like, normally I wouldn't buy that thing, or I want to be about that sort of thing, but because you're offering, I totally want that thing. Isn't that so true, Meredith?
And I call that the transitive property of trust. It's one of the reasons I love summits, because that transitive property of trust is a great way to create relationship, right? Because Daniel says, hey, I think Meredith's awesome. You should come check out her Heart-Centered Leaders Summit. And they go, well, if Daniel said so, awesome, Meredith must be awesome, right? That trust then flows, right? It's the if this, then this type of math equation. But it's also that part of understanding, well, we have these things in common, so they probably have this in common as well, right? Again, like I remember I met somebody in person here in Burbank after I'd been online for so long. And I did one of those things. I was like, I just want to let you know, like, I'm kind of woo-woo and I believe in magic and tarot cards and all of these things. And she goes, and we met at a kid's birthday party, right? So it wasn't a business event. It wasn't any of those things. But I disclosed those types of things that I thought were important, because I will pull out my card decks in the middle of a session and I will hear things, and I promised that I would honor them and speak them. So it's one of the things that helps me filter out those right fit people. Because if you all of a sudden, I'm like, what? Okay, I have to tell you this. This is what I said. This is what I heard. That they don't look at me like I'm not so cuckoo. They at least honor my not so cuckoo, right? There's that level of which we all accept certain things into our sphere. And as long as our spheres match, we're good. And so I think it's that speaking to people to understand, whether it's visually in the way you post things or the things that you say, that help people find those connection points, right? I want to do a tarot deck of some sort. My business bestie's got one coming out soon, and I'm very excited to help her launch it, because I'm like, a deck of cards, give me a deck of cards. I love a deck of cards, please, any deck of cards, right? And my husband looks at me like, what? My kids love the decks of cards. Okay. Right. So, but it's that point where you start to share all of who you are, and the people that have those things, and they're like, oh yeah, I love that. I want to find out more about you. Right. And when you have all of that stuff included in your marketing and your messaging, included in how you represent yourself online, how you talk about things, it makes your launch even easier. Right. Or if you do one of those things, you're like, hey, today we're going to do card readings to understand what the best method of launching is for you, or a channeling session, right? It's why you're coming back, right? So last year at the Heart-Centered Leaders Summit, we did 4 days of recorded free summits. We're doing it again this year. And then we did 4 days of live, but we did them at the same time. This time we're separating them. And Daniel was one of our hits, right? Because you came in and you're like, let's talk a little bit about sales, and oh wait, let's do some channeling, right? And of course, my community, this is where we have that connection point. We're like, yes, may I have some more, please, right? So of course, you're coming back this year to the Heart-Centered Leader Summit. So
yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. And I know that we wanted to share about that. So yeah, can you tell them more about that? I just wanted to close what we were talking about, though. I mean, I think that this has been so powerful what you're saying. I know we're gonna have everybody wanting more right here. So I'm going to be doing some tuning in with channeling a little briefly with Meredith here in a moment. So Meredith, if you could, yeah, this has been so great because it's helping people really, claim who they are and, in that process and radiate that and share that. And then to be able to build communities where people feel connected and all that. And one of the, you've created these communities, you've created the memberships, you've created the summits, and you help people to create those things. So if you're looking to launch, something that's group centered, especially extra, then definitely, I mean, either way, but like, if you're doing that, you definitely want to connect with Meredith. And Meredith, I know you're going to share about that now. So could you tell us about, we've got the summit coming up. That's definitely a way to connect with both of us. So do you want to tell them a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's the Heart-Centered Leader Summit, and this year we are focusing and narrowing down specifically on launching your business, right? The things that you need to understand. There are so many different launch styles out there right now. People who are going from the traditional Jeff Walker product formula launch style, where it's lots of pieces of content, to mini workshop launches, to challenge launches, to, right? There's so many different people, whether you're using advertising. So I am bringing in, I have somebody who does the laid back launch, right? The chill launch, right? There's so many different things. And part of it is understanding how those essences connect to you and what style of launch is right for your business, your product, your service, whatever it is that you're launching, and who you are. And doing it in a way that is heart-centered and consent-driven. Doing it in a way that doesn't have any of those like hard, pushy sales techniques, doesn't have any of those things that feels out of alignment with who you are. Because the minute you start doing that stuff, your essences go out the window. You are no longer your best, amazing self. And that's the energy that attracts people to convert with you. And so that's one of those things that Daniel and I could sing all day long to you, is that being in that energy of your authentic self is the energy, is the way that's going to get you to convert higher, right? And having your messaging in alignment with who you be, who you are, what you're selling, and that mission. Messaging, right? So people who love you, even when you mess your words up, right?
Right, exactly. Especially then. I've been such a goof and done so many goofy things. And my tribe loves it because they're because I'm being natural and being myself, and the people that aren't my tribe run out the door when I go mumbling on about whatever I'm mumbling on about, because I sometimes get into blah, 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 maybe I do. But actually, my tribe loves it. They're like, oh yeah, tell us more.
I did a handful of Facebook Live sideways, right? And I know a lot about technology, but sometimes I have trouble with Facebook, and I was trying a new platform and trying a new thing with my phone, and I did the entire thing sideways. And that when somebody sent me the message, they're like, I don't know if you know this, but your image is sideways. I was like, okay, do I need to talk sideways? And like turned my head and started, because why not? Like play into the imperfections of who we are, because that is the humanity, and people love it.
Right. Actually, I find when you do things, so-called wrong on purpose for fun, people enjoy that too in your own community. I'm like, hey, isn't this fun? Let's do it like this or whatever. Let's do it upside down this time. Do it upside down, whatever. Just to have a good time, because that's part of the shared essence, right, that we have. So
yeah.
Okay, so where can people? We're going to put a link in the show notes for people to go sign up for the summit. It's coming up soon when this podcast comes out. It's coming up in April this year, so check that out.
Well, the free event is March 15th, and the live event is going to be the end of March, beginning of April. So
okay, update.
Alert. So it's March 15th for the free interviews. And if you sign up between now and March 15th, You'll be able to access last year's recording, so you can hear Daniel and I from last year as well, in addition to the amazing stuff that we'll be doing. So if it's, anytime between now and then, we'll have all of this year's interviews and all of the amazing stuff. So you can, for those of you that are binge watchers and binge listeners like myself, you can dig in and catch a bunch of amazing, juicy stuff.
Awesome. That sounds really cool.
And it's the heartcenteredleaderssummit.com. And the link, like you said, is in the show notes and everything like that. So check us out, because Daniel will be with us again. I said in the live part, which you will come check out. It's amazing, amazing.
Okay, great. And you can find Meredith, on Facebook, so, all over your social medias, I'm sure. So if you want to get in contact with her otherwise, you can do that as well. Anything else you want to?
I was gonna say, you could hit me up in a DM, a PM, or whatever you want to call the M's, right? I prefer messaging by all means. I am, as a dyslexic, I'm not a fan for long texts. I'd rather send a voice message, send a short text. So by all means, hit me up on whatever social you can find me on.
All right. That's great. So, all right. Well, wonderful. Well, why don't we from there just take a moment so I can go ahead and we can do the tuning in session. Okay. So channeling, let's bring the channel. All right. All right. See what messages we have for you today. Usually go for, usually 3, but 2 or 3, something like that. Let's see what comes through. So just take a moment. I know I've got your permission. I usually say, do I have permission?
Yes.
So,
Always.
I go through my ritual. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's, some of this might be basic, but like, I'm getting it's good for reminders. Like I'm getting your way show, or you're like, let me show you the way. And they're like, it is about creativity. It's like, come on, you get it, your creative mojo, kind of thing, like the creativity. I know that's part of what you talk about. I just really feel like that is a huge key, a huge shared essence, in your community. And I'm really seeing we're just talking about it too. And I just really feel that is, another one just to keep doubling down on. All right. So here. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay. Oh, cool. Oh, okay. I wonder if you're going to resonate with this. I'm getting you. Okay, my head's getting involved here a little bit, but I'm getting with filmmaking. So, have you ever made a film yet?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yeah. I executive produced a feature film in the early aughts in 2006. It's called Labu. At one point you could catch it on Netflix. It was a little bit of like E.T., kind of like a cross between E.T. and Goonies, with a little character from the Louisiana Bayou, shot in my hometown in Louisiana. But I think the energy that you're getting is I'm going to lean into Reels and TikTok this year and try to make some more little mini films. That could be what you're feeling.
I'm sure that's part of it, but what I'm getting is there's 3 more films. I believe there's 3 more films. Yeah. So whenever, I'm not necessarily, they're just wanting me to put that in your consciousness
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So, but I think these will be, are they feature films maybe, but I get I feel more docu-series maybe ish kind of feeling, something like that. So there's something like that, they're deep, they're emotional, it might be fun too, but for sure, because everything you do is that way. But yeah, they're eye-opening. They're like, whoa, oh my God, really? That's a vibe I'm getting on it anyway. Okay, so at least, yeah. Okay, so that's so far what I got. Okay. I see you taking a necklace off and maybe giving it away or something. So, Hmm. Okay. Oh, okay. See that. Okay. So upgrading your wealth actually is what I'm saying. So it feels like it's time to let go of some of the things. Like you're like, oh, this is good. This is good enough. Kind of vibe. Oh, I love it. This is fine. Yeah. Like, okay, no, I want the next level. Like you taking off that old necklace and putting on that new, the more expensive one or something. And it may not be literal, but it's the figure how they're showing it to me. Like, okay, I'm ready to up level my wealth frequency to my next level. That's it. And so that's the other thing. Kind of see it as like that, whatever they call the wealthy goddess, prosperous goddess,
I like it.
whatever.
Fortuna. I think Fortuna is the goddess of wealth in Greek. I don't know if there's a Hebrew goddess of, I mean, there's just one God in Judaism, right? But I think there's in the Kabbalah, I think there's a name for the essence of wealth in Hebrew.
Sure
So I'll have to check that one out.
Sure could be. But that's what I'm getting is embrace that. Yeah, that I would check that out. There's something to that. But yeah, there's something to be embraced there because I really feel that energy in your light, like your light body inside your actual body. And connecting with that energy you're beginning to describe, I feel there's something really powerful and magnetic about wealth for you when you get into that energy. So there's something really going on there. Something's cooking there. So that's a strong one. So anyway,
I feel that one. I've actually committed to incremental upgrades this year in different areas of my life as far as my wealth, etc. So you nailed that one.
Nice, awesome. All right, okay, awesome. I'm so glad to share with you and everybody, folks. If you want to check me out again, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. Have fun checking out my website. If it feels fun, why don't you take advantage of Meditate, Make Money meditation I keep talking to you about. Meditate, I'm telling you, it does wonders. I stopped doing consistently my afternoon meditation, and I did a more lengthy one today. Oh my God, it just like changes everything. You're just like, oh, I'm reborn again. Like you just feel so shifted. And this guided meditation will get you connected, open up the chakras, energies, get you your downloads, open up those money channels. So get the money, make your money with the meditation I got on there. Okay. All right. So, and there's also opportunities to get energy scanning on there as well. So you can check that opportunity out on my website at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, great. So as we're beginning to wrap up, I like to give my speakers my guests, the last word. So Meredith, any last words for today?
Yeah. So my invitation is to really let those essences shine. Feel into that future, fully expressed who you are. Let your rainbow out and shine brightly. All those areas of your life, let those gifts that you've been sneaking away come out and see the light and shine. And join me in leading a legacy of love.
Yes. All right. Okay. All right. We look forward to connecting with you further, hopefully through the upcoming summit, etc., the festivities ahead. And so I'm grateful. And like I always say, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
Rock on!
Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.